Hello and welcome back to Sahara TV. The ongoing saga of the missing schoolgirls from Chibok in Nigeria has taken many a turn and has been reported around the world and continues to be reported. And with numerous different new reports coming out, including one that came out very recently, that Amnesty International released a report stating that in fact they had informed the military in the area 4 hours prior to this attack and abduction of these over 200 girls that an attack was likely to happen, and that the report stated that yet the military did not respond in a manner to prevent these attacks. With me today is Cristina Finch, Managing Director for the Identity and Discrimination Unit of Amnesty International USA. She's also an adjunct law professor at the George Mason University of Law. Prior to this, she was Managing Director for the Women's Human Rights Program and Interim Managing Director of Government Relations. Thank you, Cristina Finch, for speaking with us today on Sahara TV.
My pleasure, David. Thank you so much for having me.
So I'd like to start out and say, now that this report is out, and there was a video produced by your Nigeria researcher that talked about the credibility of the sources and the fact that Amnesty had been able to provide this information prior to these attacks. Of course, the government has now come out in denial of this report, stating that they only found out that the attacks were occurring while they were in progress. This is probably not the first time that Amnesty has released reports like this informing the government in advance. So if you could just tell me, like, why is it that Amnesty feels that the government doesn't respond, and is this in fact perhaps the first time that Amnesty has released such a report?
Well, I can't know for sure what the Nigerian government was thinking, but unfortunately signs point to them not taking this seriously, thinking that they could get, quote unquote, get away with just not responding to the situation. The Nigerian security forces had more than 4 hours of advance warning about the attack, but didn't put in reinforcements, didn't ask for reinforcements, and indeed reinforcements didn't show up even after the attack, leading us to believe that no request for reinforcements was ever made. Unfortunately, this very much fits with what we've seen in North Nigeria. We released a report about a month ago and found that over 1,500 people have been killed in the first 3 months of 2014 alone by both Nigerian security forces and Boko Haram, and yet nobody has been brought to justice for these human rights violations.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like what you're pointing to is this pattern of either unresponsiveness by the Nigerian government and the military. And there were numerous sources, even ones that spoke to other organizations, perhaps even besides Amnesty International, that stated the same thing, that in fact the military was not there at the time that they responded, and in fact that even afterwards reinforcements showed up, like it was much later than what had initially been reported. Now, as far as the report itself, what is Amnesty International hoping this report will generate? Is there any particular response that you hope to see from the government or from the military, other than, of course, the denial that they've now put out?
Absolutely. Our primary area of concern is the safety of these girls. And so what we're hoping is that by not only the activism that we've seen on the ground by the family members, other protesters, but the activism around the world on social media, and this report can all help to shine a light on what's happening there and make sure that these girls are released in a timely manner. Every moment that we wait puts these girls at further risk. There have been reports of them being sold into sexual slavery, being broken up into groups and trafficked across borders. So what we're really trying to do with this report and with all of our activism is support the families and support the girls and make sure that they are released and have some accountability by the Nigerian government, which has been slow to put out information, if at all, and obviously derelict in their duty to both protect civilians and take action afterwards.
Now, there's a talk about now, like, outside forces coming in, particularly assistance from the U.S. and the U.K., and it's taking some shape and form. I don't think if that's been completely worked out yet of what the total assistance will look like. But Amnesty International has also reported numerous times of the abuses by the Nigerian military and security forces in the past, and also the fact that while Amnesty International stands and doesn't necessarily support or oppose military intervention, one of the most important things is to not have such assistance that would lead to further human rights abuses. Now, given the track record of the Nigerian military and perhaps the track records of militaries that are coming in to support, or at least the advisors that are coming in to support, does Amnesty have faith that something different will occur this time around?
Well, unfortunately, what we've seen from the Nigerian military is a pattern and practice of human rights abuses. And so we are calling on any government assistance to not help further those abuses and go to the military units that have committed such abuses. And so I think that we're incredibly concerned, again, the safety of the girls first and foremost, but incredibly concerned about how this is going to play out in the ground, and are calling on the Nigerian government to make sure that they're taking all lawful measures. Amnesty doesn't support or oppose military intervention, but we are taking a look at the human rights abuses that are occurring, and we will be watching.
Now, I know the government has spoken out against a number of reports over time that Amnesty International has released, given the number of years of the ongoing Boko Haram conflict. Has there ever been any fear of backlash against Amnesty, or have any members within the country experienced any direct backlash from the government or security forces?
Well, we are keeping our sources confidential for this report. And what I would say is that Amnesty International follows a research methodology that involves, obviously, checking and rechecking the research that we are finding on the ground to make sure that we can independently verify any of the reports that we put out. That is the way that we conduct our research, and of course, keeping sources confidential if they would be put at further risk of human rights abuses.
Okay, Cristina Finch, thank you so much for speaking with us here on SaharaTV. Viewers, that was...
My pleasure.
Thank you. Viewers, that was Cristina Finch, Managing Director of the Identity and Discrimination Unit at Amnesty International USA and an Adjunct Law Professor at the George Mason School of Law. Thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in. Please stay tuned. We have a lot more to come.